So today's topic is elements of fiction. Is it visible to you? Can you see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The first
Yes,
one
sir.
is characterization. Okay. So we are discussing the elements of fiction. Now let's discuss these terminologies one by one. The first one, characterization, is a means. Characterization is a means by which writers present and reveal characters by direct description, by showing the character in action, or by the presentation of other characters who help to define each other. Now, characterization is how a writer uses his character, how he adopts, how he assigns different roles to his character, what he reveals through his characters. Now, he could either do it by direct description, he could describe a character in a novel that these such and such character, these are the qualities, these are the traits, these are the positive and negative attributes of a person. Or he could do it by showing the character in action, or we could have our opinions about a character by what the character does practically in the story, in the novel. Or characterization, or a character could be revealed by the presentation of other characters who help to define each other. Or a character could be revealed by contrast or through contrast with other characters. So either a character is described, or we come to know about a character through the deeds or action of the character, or we come to know about the character when we juxtapose or contrast a character with another character. Now, what are the characters? Characters in fiction can be conveniently classified as major and minor characters. We always have major characters, the main characters, and then we have minor characters, or what we call the supporting characters. They can also be can also be defined as static or dynamic characters. Now, what are static and dynamic characters? It is explained in the lines below. A major character is an important figure at the center of the story's action or theme. An important character in a novel, in a story, is what we call a major character. The major character is sometimes called a protagonist, or what we call normally the main character, the central character, or a common word, a layman word used that is used for protagonist is the hero. Now, whose conflict with an antagonist may spark the story's conflict. Now, a protagonist, the main character, is the one who might have a conflict with the antagonist. The opposite of protagonist, hero or villain. The way we have a hero and a villain, similarly in literary jargon, we have the word protagonist and antagonist for those two characters. So this protagonist might have a conflict with the antagonist, and that is what moves the story of fiction. That may spark the story's conflict. Supporting the magic character are one or more secondary or minor characters. The minor characters are the supporting characters. There might be one or more than one minor or supporting characters whose function is partly to eliminate the major characters. Their presence, their role in a story, in a piece of fiction, is to highlight the role of the major character, is to illuminate them, is to highlight them, to bring them into focus in the spotlight, to bring them into the spotlight. Minor characters are often static or unchanging. That is, they remain the same from the beginning of a work to the end. Now, minor characters, because they are minor, they do not change. They remain the same. We do not see a change in these characters. So, the way they are at the beginning of the story, they remain the same till the end. Now, major characters, they have to be dynamic characters. And what do we mean by a dynamic character? Dynamic characters are those that exhibit some kind of change. And that change is observed in either in their attitude, the purpose, the behavior, with the passage of the story. The way or as the story progresses, as we move forward in the plot, in the story, we feel the change in the major characters. So the major characters are mostly dynamic characters because they are the main or the central. They are main or central to the plot or the story. Okay, then we have irony. Irony is not so much an element of fiction as a pervasive quality in it. I mean, it's not necessary that you find irony in every piece of fiction. It may appear in fiction in three ways. The first one is in a work's language. Either you could find irony in the language of the work, of a fiction, or it could be represented through the incidents. Whatever is happening in the plot, in the story, those incidents might reveal irony or in its point of view. What do we mean by point of view? That would be discussed in the later slides. But in whatever form it emerges, irony always involves a contrast or discrepancy between one thing and another. There is always a contrast, a difference, a conflict between one and another in irony. Okay, now the contrast may be between what is said and what is meant. Now we are discussing the kinds or types of irony, that either you will find contrast in words. This irony would either be verbal irony, meaning we say one thing and we mean another thing. That is the most common type of irony that you would find. Second one is what is expected to happen and what actually happens. Situational irony. When you are reading a story, when you are progressing through a story, a plot, because our minds are working, our imaginations, they work. So we, from our own point of view, we expect something to happen, but when actually that point reaches, the opposite happens. Now, such type of situation, we call it situational irony. Or the third type is what a character believes or says and what the reader understands to be true. That is known as the dramatic irony. Is that a character, the writer through the character makes us believe that this character means this thing, while it in reality it turns out to be the opposite of what the character believes. So that is called the dramatic irony. So what a character believes or says and what the reader understands to be true. That is what we call the dramatic irony. Okay, now we come to the plot. What is plot in a novel? Plot, the action element in fiction, is the arrangement of events that make up a story. The way a story is made, the way incidents or happenings or occurrences are arranged in a story is what we call the plot of that fiction or that story. The major events that move the action in a narrative. Now, it is the arrangement of those events, those incidents, that makes your story or that makes or that moves your story. It is the sequence of major events in a story usually in a cause-effect relation. The sequence of major events usually in a cause-effect relation. Cause-effect relation, one thing happens and then because of that thing, something else surmounts or is observed or is experienced by the reader. That is what we call cause and effect relation. Many fictional plot turns on a conflict or a struggle between opposing forces that is usually resolved by the end of the story. अच्छा plot में क्या होता है कि many fictional plots they turn on a conflict or a struggle between opposing forces. वही protagonist और antagonist के दरमियान जो एक struggle, जो एक tension, जो एक conflict होती है, वही उस plot होता है और उसी से plot आगे move करता है. That is what moves the plot. And this conflict or struggle is usually resolved by the end of the story. Now, typical fictional plots begin with an exposition or what we call the introduction that provides background information needed to make sense of the action. In exposition, a background information is given to the reader, which is necessary to understand the action, the present action where the story begins. Now, it also describes the settings and introduces the major characters. In this part of the fiction, what we call exposition, so background is given, information is given to the reader, the settings are described, and major characters are introduced. These plots develop a series of complications or intensifications of the conflict that lead to a crisis or moment of great tension. वही जो conflict और contrast होता है main characters, which is revealed through the main characters, that is being discussed here. The conflict may reach a climax or turning point, a moment of greatest tension that fixes the outcome. After the exposition, we have the rising action, which will be later on discussed also individually, but this part where the plots develop a series of complications or intensifications of the conflict that leads to crisis or moment of great tension. That is what we call the rising action, which is the second part. The conflict may reach a climax or turning point. This is the third part. The climax or the turning point is the third part of the action of the plot, a moment of greatest tension. So this climax which is also known as the turning point, it fixes or it decides or it sets the outcome of that tension, of that complication or the conflict, the intensity of the conflict that is set in that very climax. Then the action falls off as the plot's complications are sorted out and resolved. After the climax, we have the falling action. Falling action means that the tensions, the conflicts, they are sorted out and resolved. So those things are sorted out. They are resolved. The resolution or the denouement, that part where everything is solved is called the resolution or the denouement. Be aware, however, that much of the 20th century fiction does not exhibit strict formality of design. In the beginning of the novel, in the 18th and the 19th century, this design where we had the exposition, the rising action, the climax, the falling action, and then the resolution or the denouement. In the beginning, where the novel began, this design was followed. But then, with the passage of time, when novel developed, this design or this pattern was not as strictly followed as it was followed in the 18th and the 19th century. So we cannot say that in the modern novels we must find all these 5 parts the way they are described here. It is not necessary. A writer and writers do deviate from these norms of the 18th or the and the 19th centuries. So the modern novels, they may deviate from these patterns. Then these are those things that we just discussed. You could go through it. The lecture would be uploaded on the portal. You could just give it a reading. Okay. Now we have the point of view. A point of view refers to who tells the story and how it is told. The possible ways of telling a story are many, and more than one point of view can be worked into a single story. However, the various points of view that storytellers draw upon can be grouped into 2 broad categories or categories. कहते हैं कि point of view, just the way a story is told, जिस तरीके से एक रीडर नॉवल को पढ़ता है और वो स्टोरी को समझता है, वो देखता है उस स्टोरी को, वो स्टोरी जिस तरीके से रीडर तक पहुंचती है, वो पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू कहलाती है. कहते हैं कि बहुत से उसमें आपके पास तरीके हैं, टेक्निक्स यूज होते हैं, लेकिन मेन जो हमारे पास ग्रुप्स हैं या जो तरीके हैं, जो टाइप्स हैं, वो 2 हैं. फर्स्ट वन इज द थर्ड पर्सन नैरेटर. नरेशन एक फिक्शन की 2 तरीके से होती है, फर्स्ट पर्सन और थर्ड पर्सन नरेशन में. Now third person narration where the pronouns is he or she or they are used for the characters in the story. आप एक नॉवल पढ़ रहे हो और वहां पे the characters are referred to as he or she or him or them or they. Now this is the third person narrator, meaning thereby that the narrator through who or through whose point of view the story is revealed to the reader is the third person. That is why when the narrator is not the part of the story, he's just an observer. That is why third person pronouns are used for the characters of the fiction or the novel. Omniscient. The narrator is all-knowing and takes the reader inside the character's thoughts, feelings, and motives, as well as shows what the characters say and do. Third person narrator mein. Limited omniscient. The narrator takes the reader inside one or at most very few characters, but neither the reader nor the characters have access to the inner lives of any of the other characters in the story. In third person narrator, we have 2. One is omniscient, then we have the limited omniscient, and third, the objective. Omniscient is where the narrator knows each and everything about each and every character, and the reader is taken into the thoughts, feelings, motives, into the mind of the characters. That is omniscient. Then the limited omniscient is that the narrator knows about one or a few characters, but not all of the characters. And neither the reader nor the narrator has access to the lives of other characters in the story. So there, the approach is limited. The third one is the objective. The narrator does not see into the mind of any character, rather he or she reports the action and dialogue without telling the reader directly what the characters feel and think. Objective जो narrator होता है उसमें third person narration में जो objective narrator होता है वो क्या करता है कि he does not tell us about a character, the personality, the thinking, the thoughts, the beliefs, the perspectives of a character. Rather, on the contrary, The objective narrator just gives us reports the action that such and such things happened, and also the dialogue, what a character says, but it does not tell us about the mind of a character, what is happening in the mind of the character, what the character is thinking or feeling, or what motives the character have. So the objective narrator, through reporting of the action and the dialogue, leaves it to the reader to decide about a character, about the mind of a character, about the personality, the thoughts or the feelings of a character. So it is upon us that what do we derive from the dialogue and the action reported by the narrator. It depends on us how we derive our own opinions about the characters. तो ये थर्ड पर्सन नरेशन जो है उसमें ये तीन हमारे पास हैं. Then we have the first person narrator, who uses the pronoun I. The narrator presents the point of view of only one character's consciousness, which limits the narrative to what the first person narrator knows, experiences, infers, or can find out by talking to other characters. First person narrator में क्या होता है कि there the narrator uses the pronoun I, but again when it uses the pronoun I, it is confined to only one character, the consciousness of only one of the character, because when it's I, so it cannot report about the inner happenings of each and every character. That is not possible. That would not be possible. So in the first person narrative is limited to only one character, and then his knowledge, his experiences, and his inferences are used while knowing about the rest of the characters in the fiction. A narrative is typically told from a first person or third person point of view. In a narrative told from a first person perspective, the author tells the story through a character who refers to himself or herself as I. वही चीजें जो अभी हमने डिस्कस की. Third person narrative comes into two types, omniscient and limited. An author, you could just read it later on. We have just discussed it, so you could read it later. Now come to the settings of a novel. Settings is the physical and social context in